Welcome back to the Vintage Super League. I'm Luis Scott Vargas here with luckiest man of the match,
Yeah,
Kai. Who, yeah, you got yourself out of some tough spots there.
yeah. I mean, I think I'm unlikely to be last now, which obviously had to be my goal after the 05 start.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
you're on a roll here.
yeah. I thought I had a terrible matchup, and then in game two, Steve actually leads with Lotus Petal, which, to my knowledge, wasn't in his deck. So I did check the deck list again, and there was no Lotus Petal. And then Randy told me that the deck lists on the mother page weren't updated. So I got the new deck list, and that matchup was even worse. Like he even had more artifact removal. Like I thought he would board in like 8 cards, and it turned out that he would probably board in like 11 cards. That's actually why I played game two that super aggressive, because I thought if I give him a turn, like just bad things are going to happen. Like the best case scenario is like a shattering spree killing 2 of my 3 mana sources.
Yeah, his hand was good. Like he had Pyroblasting, Get Sure, some other stuff. Like if you pass the turn there, it's much worse for you than just rolling the dice and going for the Time Twister.
Yeah, I figured like I have a reasonable chance to find Academy, and then if I can pay for the pack, like he first of all he has to deal with my Planeswalker in play. So that's at least like if he doesn't have the Pyro, I win anyway. And if he has the Pyro, then he doesn't have that much mana to do other stuff, and like I'm in a reasonably good spot. But yeah, I don't know what the mess is, but I'm probably an underdog to be able to pay for my pack, I think.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Especially again against a deck full of cards like the cards that you know he's boarding in.
Yeah, like his deck after sideboard was 2 Stony Silence, 3 Pyroblast, 4 Force of Will, 4 Ingoldschuhe, 3 Shattering Spree. I mean, basically I just can't give him a turn.
Yeah.
I thought my best chance was to turn one him twice.
Well, which you kind of managed with boarding in. You told me one workshop.
Yeah, I bought it in only one workshop. I figured with that much artifact destruction and no strip mine, I can board in one workshop. I kind of figured that he would board out the Pyroblasts, the Pyromancers, and the Mentors, because I think they're actually bad in the matchup. Like any game that goes past turn 5, he's winning. So I don't think he needs a win condition. His win condition are his artifact removal spells.
Yeah,
And
and
then
like
eventually I just can't cast spells and lose. So.
just yeah, win, and he can win via like a dig through time or whatever.
Yeah,
So
like he only needs like one mentor in his deck. Like he can actually just attack me with English. That's like
yes,
completely fine. He doesn't need to do more than that. And then I figured, if that's his game plan anyway, it probably doesn't matter that much if I have to pass a turn
yeah.
with Belcher. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm like 30% to win that matchup. So especially after losing the die roll, I would guess it's even lower. So I'm certainly pretty happy to win that one.
You got there, and you've just got one match left. So we're gonna actually take a look at our next match here. We've got Tom Martell against Randy. We've got Doomsday against Murfolk. So
Ooh.
Martell and Randy are both on the opposite sides of the standings here. Randy is going to make the postseason, and Martell, it's not clear whether he is going to make the next season. In fact,
Yeah, he's on the bubble, as are a lot of people. Bob, Dave, me. What's Steve's record even now? I think he's got 3 wins already, right?
Steve is 3-5 right now.
Yeah, so he's out of the mix. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
mean, he could still be in, like if he loses this next match. But yeah,
so Tom's playing a Doomsday deck, pretty close to the deck actually played in the first set of matches here with second Gitaxian Probe and a Lion's Eye Diamond as a few more ways to end up, winning through some, like sometimes you need those to win. The whole deck, of course, is trying to just cast Doomsday and stack its next 5 cards to win the game. Usually like Lab Maniac, Gush, Ancestral Lotus. That's a pretty common stack. Sometimes you win with Yogg-Will Tendrils, though. It's a pretty fast deck.
so what do you think of the matchup? I mean, you've been playing the Doomsday deck quite a bit. Like, I would think that it's probably favored over Merfolk.
I think it is because you are faster than Murfolk, and a lot of their disruption cards are not things that Doomsday is that weak against. Like, Doomsday is good against counterspells. It's got Flusterstorms, Thoughtseize, and Duress. And a card like Null Rod doesn't stop a Gush-based deck all that often.
He's only got like a Lotus and 3 or 4 other artifacts. So
Yeah, yeah, he's got a total of 5 artifacts in his deck, so that's
yeah.
that's not so many that you care too much. 6, I guess, if you count Sensei's top.
I think the reason why you play Doomsday is because it's a super resilient combo deck. It's not insanely fast, but it's very resilient.
Yeah,
So
it's a
against
very good turn 3 to 4 deck.
yeah, exactly, and that's probably a good matchup against Merfolk, I would think.
Yeah. Randy, of course, with the reliable Murfolk deck here. This time, he's running a different set of hate cards. He's got 2 Norod, 1 Grafdigger's Cage, 1 Dismember, I guess I'll kind of count as a disruption card. And then all the Murfolk and Phantasmal Images.
Yeah, like that's actually what I'm playing against next week.
Mm-hmm.
Like this week I was playing against only Silences, and next week I'm playing against Null Rods. Like I also think that matchup is also super terrible for me.
Yeah, two
There's
Norod
three,
main, one board.
yeah, there's 3 Null Rods, there's Annul, Steel Sabotages. Again, I have to turn one twice, I think. It
Well, that's your
seems
plan, I guess.
worked once, has to work again. So, but yeah, I mean, do you even think that Randy is going to keep the Null Rods in after sideboard? I'm
Okay.
not. I mean,
Well, against Tom, the thing is, you don't really need the too much of the 2 mana disruption. You'd rather have cards like Flusterstorm, Mental Misstep, Mindbreak Trap. It's possible, but unlikely that he wants one of the dismembers. So we'll be going to the match in a second here as soon as we figure this out. But it's possible that he wants one of the dismembers
but I
just to
think
stop Land Maniac. But
if you resolve Doomsday, you can surely set up your draw steps so that you beat this member, right?
yeah, definitely. So
Also, he's got both probe and sword seize duress, so it's not going to catch him off guard. Like Tom is going to see the dismember coming.
yeah, I don't think you really want that. So all right, looks like a pretty mediocre hand on Tom's side here.
On both sides, right? I mean, the Lotus is great in the Merfolk deck, but only if you have 2 Merfolks to play, which Randy doesn't.
It is, but still, Lord of Atlantis plus Force of Will plus Strip Mine is not a bad opening hand for Randy. I mean, I think Randy's a lot happier with his opener than Tom. Though, I would probably keep the Doomsday hand. I don't know if that's terrible, but it's against a Merfolk deck that's trying to constrain your mana. I know if I know I'm hitting a bunch of land drops, I don't know. I think that one's close.
Yeah, I mean, if you just lead with Underground Sea, then you can hope that there's a Wasteland or a Strip Mine, which like gives you another draw step. But yeah, Tom didn't want to, and mulligan into a much better hand.
Oh yeah, this hand's much better. It's actually interesting whether Randy forces the fast one here. I tend not to force a full fast mind on turn one, especially after my opponent mulliganed, but it is something that Randy has to think about.
Yeah, that's basically the problem with these decks, with the fast one decks. If Randy had 2 mental missteps, his hand is actually terrible. But against Force of Will, it's fine. I mean, if the fast one gets Force of Will, like Tom is perfectly fine with that. Next turn he has Brainstorm Fetchland.
I think Tom's happier getting the fast spawn Force of Will. I think you'd rather, if you could see Randy's hand, you'd choose to have him Force of Will fast spawn than Brainstorm.
Yes, definitely in this spot, yeah. Like he's trading a card against 2 Force of Wills. That's not even close. And there's the mental misstep.
Oh, that's a much better draw.
Yeah, that's still, I mean, it's not great for Randy, but I mean, he would prefer to have it in his opening hand, but it's obviously very good right now.
Randy is, the thing about Lord of Atlantis though, it's just a bear. With no other Merfolk, Randy's attacking for 2 and has 2 islands in play versus Tom's hand of 3 land, assuming the Strip Mine and the Brainstorm trade for the Mental Misstep and the Tropical Island. So
yeah, and Tom has two black sources after the 3 black sources actually.
Yeah, he's got all of them. So this is not that bad for Tom.
No. All he has to find is a Doomsday, and that's not that difficult for that deck.
Here we go.
I mean, Randy really needs to draw another Merfolk. Ah, there's a Doomsday already.
So now Tom can lead with Jet, Underground. He's got Brainstorm and Vamp. The thing is, you don't really have that much to put back because you did mulligan and get your first 2 cards dealt with.
Yeah. It might be tempting to just keep the Brainstorm as a post-Doomsday card drawing spell.
Yeah. And it looks like Randy's going to go, or sorry, Martell is going to go with the turn 2 Doomsday, or at least he's setting up for that because he played Flooded Strand, I think.
But the Vamp is probably getting Mental Misstep, right? Like if I Vamp...
That's true.
I mean, Randy does Mental Misstep that, right? I think he has to.
Interesting. So Tom
he does cast the Brainstorm first.
Right. And then he's going to get that. But now he can't cast Doomsday because he was worried about Wasteland. That's why he got a basic island.
Seems pretty loose, though. I mean, why? I don't think you're worried about Wasteland in this spot, are you?
Well, you can just pass, and if he Wasteland you just vamp for something else.
Now you have to vamp for Ancestral? I mean, you're a big fan of Divination, but I'm personally not. I don't know.
Divination would almost be better here. What if Randy draws another misstep?
I've never been a big fan of Tutor for Ancestral. Like it costs you 2 mana, and you only get 1 card up. That's not... I mean, I suppose that's what he's getting here, but it's just not really exciting.
I think it is Tom's best play. One reason to do it main phase, it doesn't play around Mental Misstep because you're still getting misstepped if you got Ancestral, but it plays around Flusterstorm because now Tom can go land and can't get Flusterstormed. So I think that's why he did it main phase, even though, again, it does not really play around Misstep or Forcible.
We didn't see if it's Ancestral, right? I mean, I assume it's Ancestral, but...
yeah, I would be surprised if it weren't.
It could actually... No, actually, I think that's actually wrong. I think he should have gotten Yakmasville. Then he
And
goes land,
and just waited a turn.
wait a turn, and then he goes Yakmasville into Fetchland, Fastbond, land, Vampiric Tutor, Brainstorm. That
Yep.
seems really powerful.
It is. And Tom just ancestraled into Disruption and a Gush. This is actually still going fine for Martell, I think. Because Randy did draw Adept plus Curse Catcher, but Tom can just force a will if he cares about it, which I think he probably does given his hand.
Probably Gushes in response, right?
I might just force pitching Misstep and then untap and cast Gush on my turn. You just waste so much mana if you Gush on their turn. I hate doing that.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, if you float a black, you can actually cast Doomsday then if you draw into it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty nice.
Yeah, Gush being a card draw plus mana generator is pretty nice.
Yeah.
This also, if you force the Adept, you know Randy can't have any counters, so it's another reason just to do that. Oh.
We don't need to gush into Doomsday anymore.
Yeah, we found the Doomsday. We do have to cast Gush, but
And that would have been an immediate game win if he fetched for an Underground Sea, right? I think yeah that's just.
I think it costs this deck so much more to get the second black mana, or to get a island, so you're off your second or third black mana. That I don't like fetching for basics in this deck all that much.
Yeah. I think it's more of a safe play against chops, but probably not in this matchup.
So here, you have incentive to play Delta first because once you've cast Doomsday, that Delta doesn't do anything. But if you know you're going to play Island next turn, you don't actually need to.
Well, if you cast Doomsday, you're not going to draw lands anyway, so you don't really need to send your library.
Well, the question is whether you need another land out of the Delta, because now it doesn't produce anything, but Tom's got the Island, so he's fine.
Yeah.
I imagine...
No, we have a problem, because now we are seeing Tom Martell assembling a 5-card Doomsday hand. And that's probably going to cost 10 minutes of our lovely time right now.
Well, Doomsday is a tough card to cast. I will give it that.
I have Goldfish with that deck, and it wasn't easy.
No.
Even if your opponent isn't doing anything.
So, my guess is that you still just use some kind of Lab Maniac kill involving, like, you just draw Ancestral, you can Ancestral into Lab Maniac, Lotus, Gush. The question is, what do you play around? Because you might not be able to play around a Force of Will, but you could try to play around a Wasteland, since you are passing the turn.
I was about to say, I think you want to not rely on Gush.
Yeah.
I think ideally you set up something that doesn't need Gush.
You could do like draw Ancestral. Even if you get Wasteland, go Island, Ancestral. Draw Lotus, Brainstorm, Lab Maniac, play Lotus, play Lab Maniac with a blue floating, play Brainstorm.
Yeah. That's pretty safe. I mean, then Randy, with his last draw and his next draw step, he needs to draw a Forcible and the blue card. And I mean, I think you can risk that.
Yeah.
If he does that, then he wins. That's fair.
Well, you know he's got the blue card. You know his hand is a Curse Catcher right now because of the Adept.
That's
so you know that much, but yeah, you just have to. There aren't that many Doomsday kills where you can play around Force of Will if you don't have anything in your hand to start with.
On top of that, there's 2 Force of Wills come. Like, you pitch the Force of Will to the first Force of Will.
Right.
So it's 2 Force of Wills and 50 cards, 48 cards or something.
Plus, if Randy draws a Flusterstorm, I guess. So that one's going to be tough. Though I guess you can cast a spell through Fluster here.
No, that doesn't matter because you just you can't counter the Lotus or the Lab Maniac with Flusterstorm. Yeah. Like, he just doesn't. He shouldn't Brainstorm on his turn. He should pass the turn and then Brainstorm. But
well, you can Fluster the Ancestral, but it's still not.
That doesn't do anything, does it? I don't know.
Well, if you have Curse Catcher plus Fluster, you can counter the Ancestral, but then Tom could still potentially draw Brainstorm into. I guess he can't quite kill at that point. But Tom also gets to get one more card, right? Because we've named 4, so maybe he ends up.
Wait, the Flusterstorm doesn't count as Ancestral. It just
with a Curse Catcher out, it does, right?
Well, he plays a land next turn. He goes land, Ancestral. And
Flusterstorms for 2, Curse Catchers for 1.
Yeah, sure. That's true.
But either way, if I'm Tom, I think I'm playing around Wasteland here, but I'm not really playing around counters. It's going to be tough to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find a stack, a pretty easy stack that's Wasteland proof. Playing around Force of Will, that's another thing.
Yeah.
Also, I assume Randy only has 2 Flusterstorms in the main, so whatever. Another thing, can you beat Null Rod?
Null Rod is actually tough, isn't it? You could You could, I guess, get Dark Ritual. You don't get to kill that turn. That seems kind of bad. I would probably
Actually,
not worry about that.
what you were saying earlier that he
With the
should have
Delta?
yeah, that would beat Null Rod. Even if he goes for the Black Lotus kill, if he draws Null Rod and he has 2 more lands, like Randy's clock just isn't there. So if he draws Null Rod, he could just like go land, let Maniac, untap, play the draw spell, kill him. But he doesn't have that option now because Edgeland doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
But again, I mean,
And
is...
Tom wouldn't have even lost an extra life there because Doomsday gets half your life rounded up. So being at 11 or 10 is the same. So it's
again,
kind of free. It's kind of free.
We're still like talking about very few draws for Randy here. Not
Yeah,
that much.
certainly. So Tom,
Yeah.
the tough part about Doomsday when you're passing the turn too is that like we've been talking through these different scenarios, you have to choose which cards you lose to, and you do know numbers. You know there's 4 Wastelands, there's 2 Force of Wills, and there's 2 Flusterstorms. There's also 1 Dismember. You have to decide which of these cards you're going to end up playing around. So
Yeah, that's a good thing with Magic. It just isn't chess. Like,
yeah,
there's always you
yeah,
just don't know what's happening. You can make the correct decision based on odds, but that's it. Like you don't have perfect information.
yeah, which does make it more interesting. I mean, clearly, if there's 4 Wastelands and 1 Force of Will, you play around the Wasteland, but when it's split, you just have to pick one.
Yeah.
So it looks like
And in that
Doomsday
case,
has happened because Martell's graveyard is gone.
I still see a Doomsday in his hand.
Well,
But I
he
guess
drew a
that's just
second. He drew a second Doomsday,
oh sure.
which wasn't particularly relevant here. So, all right,
There we go.
and then Martell passes the turn as we knew he would.
So Randy's best draw is Force of Will, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. If Randy doesn't play that Curse Catcher, Tom knows something's up. And
Hmm.
Lord's still 2 points short. I guess you just play Curse Catcher and hope somehow Tom didn't play around that.
Playing the Lord doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Next, you can play the Lord next turn and you're 5 damage. And so it doesn't shorten the clock. So it has to be Curse Catcher. Also, I mean, if you play the card that Tom hasn't seen, then that's giving Tom so much information. Like right now, Tom might still play around the Flusterstorm and screw something up. Time Walk. I mean, I guess that gives you a land drop.
Yeah, I guess Time Walk might mean that Tom is interested in casting Gush. I guess you had to get Time Walk to play around Curse Catcher.
Also, Time Walk shortens his library by 1, which not
Yeah.
that many cards do. Like he couldn't go for double Gitaxian Probe.
Yeah, he can. The land drop actually doesn't matter unless he has Gush though, because he has a Pluto Delta that doesn't get anything.
He does play it.
Might as
So
well,
now
I guess.
draws
So
the rest of,
this has to be like Lotus, Lab Maniac, and then either Gush or Probe, right?
maybe it's actually Dark Ritual if he wants to play around Nalarat.
Well, he can't crack the Delta for anything.
Yeah, but that would still be fine. Like if there was Nalarat in play, he could pass the turn once more.
Yeah. Randy deciding whether to Curse Catch, he does.
Seems about right. I mean, what else is he going to do with that Curse Catcher?
Yeah.
Wins next turn anyway. So. Unfortunately, that next turn won't be happening. Nope. Oh, he went for Probe to kill him with? That means if Randy played the second Lord, Tom... Oh, he can...
Well,
never mind. I'm stupid. He can just cast it for mana.
If Randy drew Dismember, that would have done it here.
Actually, yeah, that's kind of cute. He's got 2 main deck, I guess?
Yeah. Just 1, actually, I think.
Oh, just 1. Alright.
Yeah.
Well, he had like 5 cards maybe in his deck that did something there. It's pretty unlikely, but... Okay, now... Tom probably doesn't sideboard all that much.
No. You can board in Xanad Swarm if you want, but I don't love doing that. I don't like boarding anything else like Trigon Predator or any of that nonsense. I also don't really want to fight over Null Rod. I don't think that that's relevant.
I mean, Zenith Storm certainly had its time in the sun against me, so...
Oh, yeah.
I
I
think.
had doubles and it's against you somehow.
Oh yeah, both were in play.
You were just covered in bees. But
Tom Martell.
I mean, his deck's pretty set up. Randy's the one who actually profits after board, just because if you take a look at Randy, he's got Mental Misstep, Flusterstorm, Mindbreak Trap. So all those cards are pretty good.
Yeah, Tom has only one US, which I expect him to board in,
Yes.
but that's about it. What do you board out for the US? Maybe
You can board out
Flusterstorm?
Flusterstorm. I think Duress is better than Flusterstorm generally.
Maybe
This,
Scented Swarm is actually better than Flusterstorm. I mean,
yeah, it could be.
if you randomly, like if you board in one and you randomly get it turn one, that's so nice.
Yeah.
Never getting disrupted again.
Randy's hand is very good here. Just like Curse Catcher into Lord with Flusterstorm, or add it too. Flusterstorm, Mental Misstep, Force of Will. This is kind of the dream hand. Martell's hand is not bad though. Just a bunch of cantrips and gushes is fine.
Well, the Tendrils was certainly not what he wanted to draw.
Yeah, the deck has a couple bricks in it. I mean, like Lab Maniac and Tendrils are like the two biggest, so every now and then you do draw one of them. It does make your Doomsdaying a little easier.
Is he going to brainstorm end of turn?
I don't know. If you have Mental Misstep, but I hate brainstorming by cracking a fetch.
Well, I guess he wanted to be wasteland proof, that's why he played the fetch on turn one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no brainstorm. So that's getting mental missteps, and I guess those are just trading, surely.
Yeah, I would imagine Mental Misstep. I mean, Tom is it's way too valuable for Tom to resolve his own brainstorm here.
Do you run the Preordain into the Curse Catcher? I think you probably do, actually.
Most likely, especially if your hand is just full of blue cards. You can't
The
just
Tendrils of Agony is certainly not in his hand anymore.
no. Probably get rid of Tendrils and like a land here. You could get rid of a Misstep if you want. It's not terrible to do that.
I think it's a land. Like, you have two Gush, you're gonna find more.
Yeah, my assumption is that it is Tendrils land.
And I think then you just Preordain. I mean, you just found another Pondus or whatever. Just get the Curse Catcher off the table.
Yeah. I like leading with the Preordain here.
Yeah, but with another Fetchland Pondus, surely better than Preordain.
Yeah.
In general, I kind of like Preordain better. Like, why is Ponder restricted? Was that discussed before?
Ponder got restricted a bunch of years ago, along with some other cards, and then Preordain got printed and never really got discussed to be restricted. Sure. It is kind of weird because they're very, regardless if you think one is slightly better than the other, they're got to be. You got to think that they're very similar, right? Like they're within a couple % of each other in either direction.
Also, to be fair, you probably would play like 7 or 8 if you could, I guess.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it being restricted. It's just kind of weird, but it does work out.
Doomsday.
Brainstorm not being restricted was nice.
Brainstorm, Sawing Glacier. Those were the times.
Yeah, I never got to play any of that kind of Magic in Pro Tours or Grand Prix, unfortunately.
Well, I didn't get to play that with Pro Tours, but in like regional tournaments, you had Brainstorm, Sawing Glacier, Force of Will, Control Magic, and opponents were casting Earnham Gens. That was just great.
Well, Lord of Atlantis got cast back then, and is getting cast now. Randy's got a fast clock here. He still has Force Up. It's going to be tough for Tom to win this game because Tom can't cast Doomsday and pass the turn here, and he can't Doomsday and win through a Force of Will either.
Lord of Atlantis is actually much better now than it was then. Merfolk of the Pearl Trident or whatever the crap was called, that didn't really do it. While Curse Catcher and Silvergill Adept, that's something. I wish my invitational card was a Merfolk. It would probably get played in that deck.
Yeah, it's already pretty good. It doesn't need to get better.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of sad that the new Dragons of Tarkey cards are like somewhat similar and just straight up better than
oh yeah, like the 2/1 flyer or whatever.
Both of them. There's like two that unmorph and count or something, and I think they're both just straight up better. It's very sad.
You're just gonna have to win another invitational.
Yeah, I didn't even go to the later ones. It just felt so weird. I mean, obviously you know all the other 15 players, and you already got a card. So I mean, if you're playing against a friend of yours in the finals, do you really want to win?
Yeah.
Like cut him off from his first card to get a second? Like I just don't think you want to do that. So.
Yeah. So
So
Tom, I think read Randy, or just figured Randy had a force of will. Didn't, because he could have gone Doomsday Gush to try to win, but he would have. Oh, there's a Curse Catcher play. So yeah, that doesn't even work at all. So he went Ponder Duress. He's gonna see two counters. Can't really beat either of them. And
tough life.
there still is the Curse Catcher in play.
Yeah. And the clock is pretty short. I mean, Tom is dying in 2 turns. But he has to take the force of will, right? I'm pretty sure.
I would imagine so. It also means that Randy has to leave mana for Flusterstorm, though. You could take Flusterstorm and then try to beat Force by drawing a Force. I think you might maybe just take Fluster.
Exactly. I think his best shot is actually drawing one of his force of wills, and then you want to remove the Flusterstorm.
The only problem is, actually, you can't even cast Force of Will. You're going to get hit for 10 if Randy plays another Lord here.
Oh, yeah. That's what the Merfolk does sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, this is textbook Murfolk draw here.
There's some guys. Last clock have a force of will in hand.
This makes it so Randy chose not to leave Flusterstorm up, but by doing this, he destroyed Tom's Misty Rainforest and made Doomsday uncastable. So those are probably good ideas to do.
So we now need to draw a Black Lotus. And I'm sure then Tom wins, right?
Well, Tom can't cast Doomsday.
Oh, he's on 1. Yeah.
So Tom needs to like gush into Lotus Demonic Tutor or something like that and just like set up some kind of Yawgmoth's Will turn.
Yeah, that's not happening.
No, my assumption is not. You just like float 2, cast Gush, then concede probably.
Yeah, I think that's a solid line of play right now. He takes in probe just to see if there's something unexpected.
Yeah.
And then
you might as well probe, to see if there's anything going on that you did not anticipate.
Then just do the old land, Mox, Swordseed, Duress, Ancestral, Lotus, Yawgmoth's Will for game 3. Tom is pretty good at
that. I don't know if he's done that yet.
There might be taped evidence of it happening. Yeah. That's a ritual, but yeah.
It is funny that going to 1 exactly stops Doomsday. That doesn't come up very often.
Yeah. It also stops the fetch land, which is pretty annoying.
Yeah, the fetch land part is you got a Lab Maniac hanging out there.
It's definitely worse than Tendrils of Agony, although I don't think he even had enough storm to survive a turn.
No, especially not with another Lord coming down.
Oh, yeah. So next turn is actually, whatever, 15 damage or something?
Yeah.
More than that? Yeah. That's... And game over.
Yeah, Lotus Petal not going to quite get him out of that.
Lotus Petal. I was pretty shocked when Steve played the Lotus Petal.
The insane part is the only reason you got tricked at all was that he had 2 deck lists that were very, very similar. If he'd been playing Workshops last week and you looked at that deck list, you'd have obviously been like, wait, why is this deck list full of Workshops? But because his 2 decks were the same, you could actually have gotten kind of critical misinformation there.
It was still pretty stupid on my part because I actually knew that he had Young Pyromancer in his deck, which he didn't have in his second deck. So yeah, I should have realized that. But yeah, the decks were very similar. It's like 5 cards maybe.
Yeah. So another race. This time Tom on the play, and he's got to hope Randy doesn't have counterspell, Curse Catcher, and a bunch of Murfolk.
Yeah, Lion's Eye Diamond substantially worse than Black Lotus.
It is. Tom's got misstep for days though.
Which is pretty good. I mean, it's always nice when you have double misstep in your hand when your opponent has a misstep.
Yeah, you really want them to have the first card there.
All you want is to trade them.
So, pondering here. You're kind of close to setting something up because like Vamp Lion's Eye is a kind of a combo. Especially with like a Preordain, you could like Vamp for Doomsday, play Lion's Eye, play a land, Preordain in response, crack the Lion's Eye.
Do that with Yawgmoth's Will, I guess, yeah. Like if he draws a Lotus or Yawgmoth's Will, then he can have a pretty sick turn.
Yeah. Wasteland, not a bad draw from Randy.
Oh yeah, that hurts. Also, I mean, it does set Randy back. Like, that's a problem with Merfolk. You really need to get something started.
Yeah.
Like, if this game takes forever and Tom just casts his cantrip, that's terrible for Randy.
Yeah, like right now, Randy's on land go.
Yeah, he needs to get the first creature into play. That's why the blue mox is so stupidly good in that deck. If you can somehow cheat a land into play.
Yeah, Mox Sapphire, I mean, it was always the best Mox, but right in Vintage right now, it's so much better than all the other Moxes that it's like, it's incredible.
That gets misstepped. There's just no clock on the table for Andy.
Yeah. Tom, he's got his time. He
Could
could,
actually set up a will turn, right? Like if you time
yeah,
walk now and then you can
vamp
just
for will,
probe.
then probe into it.
Yeah. Then you get
Looks
like
like,
what you don't get that much though. I mean,
yeah,
also to be fair, it's a pretty good turn, right? He gets a fetch land and then he gets to use the Lion's Eye Diamond. Then he casts like what 3 cantrips from his graveyard.
yeah,
That's pretty powerful.
including a land.
Now he sees nothing. I mean, a misdirection, but
I don't mind probing here though, because if you don't probe and you just like, I hate constructing a turn involving Lion's Eye Diamond against a hand that might have a Force of Will. That just seems so risky.
yeah, that's fair.
If it doesn't work, you just lose the game. So now this is kind of interesting because Tom has a lot of options here between Time Walk, Gush, and Vampiric Tutor and Lines of Diamond. He's got like a ton of different lines of play, and he knows he's got a free turn here.
Well, it's not entirely free. If he passes the turn back, Randy will cast Silvergill at it. So that means he gets 2 more cards. And Force of Will is obviously pretty bad. What's your line right now? Do you time walk?
I would likely start by going Delta, get Underground Sea. I think you Time Walk here. And then you could upkeep. I mean, you can't get Ancestral because of the misdirection. You could vamp for like a Yogg-Will.
Getting Yaggle is pretty tempting, I think.
So if you
But it's
Time Walk,
pretty difficult to set it up, right? Like with Gush, it's annoying because you're just actually.
well, what you can do is you can Time Walk, upkeep Vamp for Doomsday, play Lion's Eye Diamond. Oh no, you can't. Sorry, draw your card, main phase Vamp for Doomsday, play Lion's Eye Diamond, play Gush, in response sack Lion's Eye Diamond, play
That gets rid of all
Doomsday.
your lands.
You lose all your lands.
You have a
Probably
Doomsday
not
on the
great.
stack, no cards in hand, no cards in play. That's I'm not sure if Doomsday is powerful enough. It's a pretty good card, but
Yeah. So Tom is just seeing a bunch of cards here.
that is a better play. Just find the Doomsday naturally. Also, it's gonna take him quite a while to cast it.
Yeah, he is just go land go at this point.
Doesn't have a card drawing spell either, so he can't vamp for Black Lotus and just kill him next turn.
Yeah.
There's the Vampiric Tutor.
He could vamp for like ritual or something. I guess that gets misstepped and Lotus gets null rotted, so you have to decide which of those two you care about more.
Probably. I think I'm not a big fan of main phase Vampiric.
The thing is, you get information based on what Randy does, and it's not like you need the mana floating to do this right now.
Yeah.
I guess you
mean,
play around mental misstep.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Like if he draws a mental misstep, it's really bad to run the Vampiric into that. But then one mental misstep is already gone. I don't know. Like he knows his hand right now.
I think you just get Lotus here though.
Yeah.
Whoa. If you got Lotus, things are going to be bad for you. You could have gotten Dark Ritual. That does play into mental misstep. This is going to be interesting to see which one Tom ended up getting. I guess he couldn't quite get Fast Bond.
Fast one.
No, he doesn't have enough to do anything.
Atmosville is tutoring for Atmosville would have been pretty tempting, I think.
Yeah.
Just play 2 more lands, Atmosphere response lines, item, and then you have 6 blue mana to cast all the stuff in your graveyard. That's a lot. Did
Tom
get it.
got the Dark
Whoa.
Whoa.
Masterful.
All right. I mean, I think given the numbers, I would have gotten the Lotus, but hey, this worked out just fine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I would have waited with the Vampiric, but yeah.
Yeah. Waiting for Vampiric, I think, is ultimately... Well, it doesn't play around Misstep, is the thing. All right.
That has to be a win, right?
Yeah. I imagine it involves Lab Maniac.
Yeah, for sure.
So, oh,
I mean, again,
yeah, I guess you could. You can't play any artifacts. You can you can't use Gush Ancestral because you start on 4 cards, and you can't use Ancestral anyway because of misdirection. So Ancestral's actually off the table.
oh, that's
So
pretty annoying actually. So you draw with Gosh, I guess.
he could draw Time Walk. He did that last time. Remember, he went for Time Walk because if you Time Walk and then into Gush and you Gush into Lab Maniac Gush, you get to replay your 4th land.
Time Walk and Brainstorm does it, right?
You don't have enough mana to play Lab Maniac and
Dark Ritual.
I guess so. You're getting Time Walk, Dark Ritual.
Brainstorm, Lab Maniac, Gosh. That's a kill.
That also is a killer's right. So you Time Walk, you play your 3rd land, you Gush. Yeah. Time Walk
I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, Time Walk is kind of the key to all of this. I guess this is slightly better because it doesn't get misstepped, right? You don't involve Dark Ritual. If this is Gush into Lab Maniac Gush.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually much better. Don't need to open up yourself for a mental misstep. Yeah.
And then Tom has 1 card in his deck because he Doomsday had passed, so he had 4 cards when it all started.
So Doomsday beats Merfolk.
Kind
of what I expected, but pretty close actually.
Yeah, it's 1-1 against Murfolk in this series because Bob did lose to Chris, but Bob's draws were something else. So Tom ends up winning the match here with his Doomsday deck, taking him reasonably far out of last place contention. I mean, he at this point is looking not bad.
Yeah, 3-5. I mean, like Dave is sitting on what 2-6.
Yeah, so
Dave has to win his last match, and then when we have to lose.
If Dave loses his last match, Bob could also lose. So Bob could lose both his matches. So we're gonna have to see how that goes, and then they're in a playoff, right?
What's Dave's record? Bob's record.
Bob has two. Bob has two wins, I believe.
Is there even a tiebreaker? Like if Dave and Bob are on the same record, if they played each other, is it like do they play a tiebreak match right away? Or
yeah, you play a tiebreak match. So I was pretty exciting. We got to see Doomsday actually work out there with some nice time walks, and we've got 1 match left here. We've got Ifro playing against Bob.
Okay. So. I mean, Ifro is still taking this seriously, surely, right? I mean,
oh yeah. First place is an extra match win, right? If you get first, so Ifro definitely is trying to win here, and he's playing Dredge, which so far has not won a match.
I mean, especially after you beat him just like everyone expected.
Yeah, exactly.
Now he actually really wants to win to secure first place.
Indeed. So it looks like we're going to take a look at the Moxa information again here. So once Randy gets back, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to have Randy and Steve actually back for the last round of commentary here.